Welcome to the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast, the show where we shine a light on the incredible businesses, community leaders, and local legends that are shaping our town. I'm your host, James O'Donnell, and today we are joined by Rose Johnston, a local life coach and trauma coach. Rose, great to have you on the show.
Hi, James. Thank you so much for having me on.
Not a problem. For those of us who don't know what a life coach or trauma coach means, who are you and what does that mean?
There's a bit of a tale. So I have been a personal trainer for a very long time, and I became a nutrition coach, about 4 or 5 years ago. And becoming a nutritionist, it was a very holistic approach. So it was not so much, what are you eating? It's why are you eating it? That led me into becoming a life coach. I really enjoyed the projecting forward. How can we help going forward? Not living in our past, not living in what we've done, what we haven't done, moving forward. That then took a turn to being a trauma-informed coach, because what we started to recognize was, as much as there is value in the work moving forward, we also have to recognize actually where we have come from. Actually, where we've come from really does impact what we do. So then I became trauma-informed. And through that, I've kind of created my coaching business, helping people with initially body image, fat loss, the barriers to fat loss. But as we're going to come on to today, this year I pivoted my business into talking to people about their grief. And this is because 8 years ago, I lost my mum to breast cancer. And for me, a really big part of my journey was actually the silence I was met with. So at a time where I needed communication and community most, I didn't get it, because actually, probably even just saying it now, I imagine people listening would probably go, grief? Oh, we don't want to talk about that. It's very uncomfortable. It makes us very sort of squirmy inside, and it makes people uncomfortable. So a lot of my grieving process was managing the discomfort of others. And I wanted to pivot my coaching business with the tools that I have to start creating more conversations about it, removing the taboo, but also getting people to recognize, grief's probably interwoven into quite a lot of things. This definitely came about actually through the help of clients. So when I did pivot my business, I probably had over a dozen messages going, about bloody time, Rose. You've been talking to us about this for so long, from an experiential point, but also with the training that I had. It just shed a bit of light. So really, a life coach, a trauma coach, they're titled. The experience I give to people is a safe space to talk about whatever's coming up for them, to recognize what's happened in the past that could be impacting their today, but also, what is your future going to look like without this? How do you want your future to look like without this? And how do we get there?
Rose, thanks for sharing that this impacts everybody at some point.
100%.
And as you said at the beginning, people struggle to talk about grief and the trauma that might be associated with that. What does it look like if I'm in that position, or how would I recognize that talking to you might help? I know that sounds like saying it out loud sounds like a silly thing to say, but I'm guessing a lot of people internalize a lot of these conversations without talking to someone.
Yeah, no. I think that's a fantastic question, because actually so something that I recognized in my coaching space was the feelings that I used to get. So I've always described grief as quite sticky. So you feel that you're trying to do 100 things, but you can only kind of get one of them done. You're feeling like actually you want to talk to people, but you really want to stay as far away from people as possible. You might also find that just one day you are so sad and you don't know why. Nothing has happened to cause this sadness, or it could be anxiety. It could be any number of things where you're kind of going, where the hell did that come from? As a trauma coach, I would say that's probably something that's triggered the trauma response in your body. But for me, it was very much grief. Grief is an incredibly raw mix of emotions, and it's really hard to identify. So I would probably say, I love this question, by the way, actually. I don't think I've been asked this before. I would say it's where's that come from? Why am I being like this? What's happening here? No, I shouldn't feel like this. Grief runs very, very deep. Grief is one of those things that our nervous systems are designed to keep us alive. Grief is literally the antithesis of this. Try saying that quickly. It is the one thing it doesn't want, and you're being met with it. So of course it goes into shutdown. Of course it goes into these states of survival that cause you to do things that don't feel logical. So very often, if logically you're going, I don't know why I'm crying, I don't know why I'm sad, I don't know why I feel angry, I don't know why I feel anxious, logically I can't work it out. It's most likely because it's not a logical feeling, it's an emotional one. And this is where I think talking about it gives language to the emotions that we can't always articulate, and it allows us to bring it into a safe space. It removes the shame from talking about it. That's a big thing. You know, I can't tell you how many people have told me that this has been said to them. I've had it said to me, oh, are you not over it by now? It's been a couple of years. You don't get over it. I would actually say that the grief wound is not a wound that heals. It's one that you look after. I think I went off on a tangent there, James. I do that. I'm so sorry.
Rose, that's great. So if I've recognized this in myself, or someone else that I've spoken to has recognized that this might be something useful, what does it, and I gave you a call, what would it, you know, how would you help? What would be the first thing that we would start doing with each other to support me?
We would chat. I think, again, at the heart of grief, as I said earlier, there's a lot of raw emotions, but at the heart of it is love. And again, an intention I have for you is not to experience your grief through the pain and the sadness. It's to remember it's the love. Okay, so a friend told me very, very early on in my journey, which has always helped me, grief is love with nowhere to go. And so again, if we can come back to that place, then brilliant. But you've got to soften it first. You know, we're not silly. That sadness, sharpness, that depression, that anxiety, that anger, all of that lives above it. And so for me, it starts by having a conversation. So everyone I work with and everyone I have worked with starts with 30, 45-minute call. We chat. My friends coined this phrase for me. I have a little grief dar. So when I start talking to people, I can see quite quickly if there's loss there. Admittedly, these days people are coming to me because they know I'm there to talk about grief. But prior to this, I was always kind of going, that feels really familiar to what I've experienced. That stickiness, that where's it coming from? Is it? And so within that conversation, it would be a little bit of poking, a little bit of prodding, but only if you feel ready. So I'm really gauging where you're at in your journey, you know, because if it's just happened, you're numb and you should be numb. It's really hard to process. So if you're there, it's more a case of, hey, here's a safe space at any time you want to come in. Okay. Maybe it's been a year after and you're beating yourself up that you should have got over it by now, or you're telling yourself that you haven't missed them as much and you feel guilty. So then it's understanding the emotions that you've got around your grief. And maybe we just shed a bit of light. We create that safe space. Maybe though, and this is the most common, you're years down the line. James, I cannot tell you how many people have gone, oh yeah, so my dad died when I was 10, but that was nothing. I'm like, what? Your dad died when he was, that's huge. That's huge. Why have we dismissed that? Again, societal conditioning, because God forbid we talk about these big emotions to do with grief. But also, it happened when you were 10. Yeah, like I'm talking to a 40-year-old man. Like, so 30 years ago, surely you should have got over it by now. No, that is still woven into your tapestry and it's unfinished. So everything I do starts with a conversation to create safety, to create some awareness for you, and also to kind of see where you're at. Because if I can't help you, I will signpost you to where you need to go. Because I do strongly believe you cannot do this alone. Again, the silence I was met with shaped my grieving process, and I don't want that for anyone else. So I would like to create a space where you can come and talk, you can find help, and you don't have to do it alone.
I think that's so powerful as a mission for you, that you're trying to, you know, support that. And it's really interesting what you're saying about, you know, the example, not the real example, of the 40-year-old guy who lost his dad when he was 10. Because as soon as I think of grief or trauma, I think it's like that kind of instant, you know, that instant thing. But yes, the long-term impact of things, like we all remember things that happened to us when we were 10, when we were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and thinking that something that big doesn't have an impact, you know, is ludicrous. So
well, we're told it shouldn't impact you. We're told, and I think that's a big part of what I do, of going, hold on, that's huge. All right, we don't have to dive in like head first to it now, but let's just give it a little bit of acknowledgement, because you know what? That's big. You've carried that around for like 30 odd years. It's big and it's heavy and it's unknown, and we don't like that.
So Rose, if someone's listening to this now that has recognized some of what you said in themselves, or someone that they know, what's the best way for them to reach out and start that conversation with you?
I am an Instagram girl. I'm most active on there and on Facebook. On Facebook, you will find me within the Grief Circle. This is also a community I've set up in Substack, which I'm absolutely in love with, by the way. People, get on, it's fabulous, full of wonderful people. So I've created that. And within the Grief Circle is resources for those going through grief. But something you just said, which I think is very important, if you are someone supporting someone in their grief, because that's hard as well. Like, you don't know what to do. You're scared of saying the wrong thing. So I've created a whole load of resources for people, the do's and don'ts, what to say, what not to say. I think that's really important as well. You don't need to be perfect. You're still a human. You're trying to help someone. That's all that matters. But when you say things like, shouldn't you be over this by now? You're not helping. Okay? You're not helping. So I've got a load of resources for the people supporting and the ones going through grief themselves. So you can reach me through that. And honestly, even just a message, I love having conversations about this. Yeah, I'm aware. Like, come and talk to me about your deaths, your grief, your loss, your grief. I want it all, okay? I'm very passionate about this. I think it's really important. So come and chat to me about anything. And if you think, the weirder the better, actually, guys. I love it. Like, come and tell me that you sleep with your husband's ashes. Like, I'm here for it. Dark humor is a minimum requirement. Has to be in this space, right? So you can contact me through there, but also you can get me on email, and I'm sure we'll pop that in the show notes as well, so people can get that as well.
So we'll put the links to everything that you've mentioned, that Rose has mentioned, in the show notes, so people can follow up on it. I think that piece about advice for other people, I think, is great. I'm thinking for me, I never know what to say in those kind of situations, and I just kind of, I'm just thinking I'm probably one of those people who put my head in the sand and just kind of trying to keep going rather than saying something supportive, because I don't know what to say, because I might want to say the wrong thing. So yeah, something like that, I will definitely be checking that out. And let's, within the Bishop Stortford community, it's great that there's some resources out there. There's someone out there who's thinking about these kind of things, because this must impact, a huge percentage of the population every single year.
It affects everyone.
And we don't have the tools to deal with it. So let's see what we can do about getting the community on board with that. Rose, thanks for sharing a little bit about what you're doing, and hopefully we can support some people out there that need that bit of help to talk about.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for the space.
No problems, Rose. Are you ready for some Stortford Spotlight questions?
Yes. This was hard to narrow down, by the way.
Good. I like to see that you've done some homework. This is fantastic.
Definitely a type A.
Today's podcast is brought to you by a great local business helping people take back their time in Bishop Stortford. If your weekends are getting swallowed by cleaning instead of time with your family, I get it. As a dad of 2 young boys, I know how fast those moments can go, and I've been let down by cleaners before. That's why I use Time For You Cleaning. They're reliable, friendly, and give you one less thing to worry about. If you want your time back, head to timeforyou.cleaning and let them know the podcast sent you. Get back your precious time and support local. Right, back to the show.
These are 3 questions that we ask every guest that come onto the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast. First question: if you could put one sentence on a billboard in Jackson Square, what would it say, and who needs to read it the most?
So I had a few. I think I'm going to stick with my griefy profile. Like, don't forget to talk about your loved ones. Don't forget to ask your loved ones about their loved ones. Keep their name on the table. It'd be very simplistic. And if you could possibly put it outside Daniel Robinson, I think that'd be great too.
Sorry. So don't forget to talk about your loved ones, and don't forget to ask
your loved ones.
Your loved ones
about their loved ones.
That makes me think about a film that I don't mind saying does make me cry quite a bit, which I watch with my sons on the Disney Channel, called Coco.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is about the Day of the Dead Mexican tradition and how people have to remember and put up photos of their loved ones to remember them.
Yeah.
On there like that. That's a really, it makes me think about the way not to forget, and not just to get on with your life, but actually to talk about things as a family. I think that's wonderful.
Keep their name on the table. And if just to add to that, do watch Coco. That's phenomenal. And Inside Out, also top tier. Mm-hmm. But Brené Brown's Call to Courage on Netflix, It's very, 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 very good. It's a film talk, really long talk, but it's great. Really long talk. But she talks about keeping people's names on the table. So I'll leave Brené Brown to do that one.
Okay. No problems. We'll put links up to those as well. If people want to follow, because I think Disney and Netflix need some help getting some eyeballs on that.
Yeah,
but they're useful. They're useful for anybody that's listening. Definitely. Okay. Question 2. Where do you go in Stortford that you secretly hope never gets too popular?
I really love this. I struggled with this so much. So, Perfect Alignment Pilates, which is at Great Hadham Country Club. She's phenomenal. Katie, who works there, she's amazing. And I secretly hope she doesn't get too busy because I really like my slot. But at the same time, she's amazing. Go see her. The other place was Dot Café. Again, same reason. I really love the table that I have there. The staff are just incredible. So don't get too busy, but also please get busy. They're amazing. And then this one on brand for what we've talked about today, Stortford Therapy Space. This is something where I'm like, get busy. Get so busy. You've got to take on more space and more therapists because the women who run that space are just incredible. And again, in the spirit of sort of saying, we need help. We don't need to do this alone. My journey of doing things with other people and healing my own, not healing my grief, but working and living with my grief started at that space. So those would be my 3. Perfect Alignment, Dot Café, Stortford Therapy Space.
Wonderful. You're very generous with your shares there, Rose. Thanks very much. Thanks very much for those. Okay, last question. Who's doing something special in town that more people need to know about?
He's going to hate this, but Richard Morris, who you've already had on. Richard Morris runs The Giving Machine, which is a charity aimed at helping the local charities. And he's done so much amazing work. And he's really simplified the charitable process, which I often find a bit sticky. Again, having done a lot of charity work with breast cancer charities, it's a slog. I think he's really streamlined a lot. But his other hat that he wears is he helps start-up businesses and entrepreneurs. And he has been invaluable to my journey this year. And he's just all round a great person. He's one of the good ones. And he will cringe hearing all of this, and I hope he does. But he's doing a lot of really wonderful work, and I sometimes think he's too humble because what he's doing has a huge impact. So if you can, get yourselves over to The Giving Machine. But he also, if you are someone looking for a structure to put in place in your startup, he's also the one to talk to. And maybe go listen to the other episode as well.
Meta, links within links.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, like I've spoken to a lot of people about starting businesses and processes over the years, and Richard really knows what he's talking about. He's definitely someone to tap into, and if you can get half an hour of his time, it's can be invaluable. We will link to Richard. We will link to The Giving Machine. Don't worry about that. And go listen to it. Go listen to his episode. I don't think it does him as much justice as I could have done. We'll probably do a follow-up with him at some point. But certainly, if there's anybody out there that's looking to raise money or start a business or get a charity kind of cooking, tap into his grey cells. I'm sure he'd be more than willing to help. He's a really great guy. Great guy.
Really great.
Rose, thank you so much for that. Last chance for you. Where is the best place for people to find you online and get involved?
It will be Instagram for now, unless there's any website designers out there that want to give a girl a hand.
What's your Instagram handle?
My Instagram handle is Rose Johnston Coaching.
We will link to that, but if anyone's just listening, go and jump on that now. Send Rose a message. I'm sure she'll appreciate that. Rose, thank you so much for joining us today on the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast.
Thank you for creating this space and having me on as well. It means a lot. It's nice to share a little bit of my story, but also something I'm incredibly passionate about. So thank you for creating this space.
It's been great to hear everything and to share. And hopefully, if there's anybody out there that needs some support, they reach out. And that's a conversation that we've been the catalyst for by putting out the show. So, fantastic. Thanks for everything that you do. If you're listening to this episode, if you're watching this episode and you enjoyed it, the best way to support us, the best way to support the show is to hit follow, leave a quick review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're watching this, and then share it on your socials so your network can see what we're doing here in Bishop Stortford, or share it with someone in town who's not on social media but you think might be interested in hearing a little bit more about people in the town and what we're all up to. And if you've got a local legend, someone who's doing great, someone who's trying to start a business or starting a business or runs a business, just like Rose, drop me a message with their name on so we can get them on the podcast, or drop their name in the comments so we can share their story and share the work that they're doing in the community. That's it from me. Please go and support something local today. And what did you say, Rose? Talk to your relatives about their relatives.
Yeah. Talk to your loved ones about the loved ones that they lost.
Fantastic. What a great way to finish the show. Thanks ever so much, Rose. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, James. Take care.
Thank you.
If you run a business built on trust, but your website's full of stock photos and silence, we need to talk. True Tone Testimonials helps coaches, consultants, and other service providers turn real client stories into high-converting video content. No scripts, no fluff, just honest words from real people who already love what you do. They're professionally filmed and ready to drop onto your site or into your socials. Head to truetonetestimonials.card.co. Let your clients do the selling. Okay, support local. Let's get back to the show.